Hi, I'm Dax Driver. I'm the CEO of the Energy Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago. And we've recently put out a 6-point plan of the things that we believe need to happen, the actions which need to happen in order for us to maximize the value of our exports and crucially to improve the supply of natural gas to the downstream sector in Trinidad and Tobago. So the first point that we make is that in order for exploration to take place, you've got to get acreage into the hands of competent operators. And the faster you can do that, the more value that you can create for the country from those resources. So improving the whole approval process, the regulatory process around approvals, significantly increases the value of our resources and means that the exploration will happen and that we will see then more gas being supplied. Our second major point is around the fiscal regime and ensuring that we have a fiscal regime. This is the taxation and the royalties, which will actually incentivize exploration and incentivize developments. At the moment, the fiscal regime of the country doesn't really do that. We recommended a number of changes which need to be made, which are being looked at by the government at the moment, but we need those changes to be implemented to really incentivize companies to go after new exploration and to go after developments to produce more gas. Our third major point is about the investments that need to be made in order to have commodities from Trinidad and Tobago which can sell into international markets. There are new cross-border adjustment mechanisms which are going to be coming into place in the next few years, which are going to penalize countries if their products have a high carbon intensity. So it's important that we invest in bringing down the carbon intensity of our commodities, otherwise we're going to have problems finding markets to sell into, or particularly sell into premium price markets. The EU is going to be the place where this is led, but it's going to spread to other countries as well. So we need to really invest in reducing the carbon intensity of our production. That means reducing methane leaks. It means accessing offsets. It means reducing the carbon intensity of operations, and it means introducing green and blue molecules into the mix. That means investing in green hydrogen or in blue hydrogen through carbon capture and sequestration. So all those things have to happen if we're actually going to have commodities which we can export, particularly to export to premium markets. So our fourth major point is around the natural gas that goes to the electricity sector. This natural gas is sold at prices currently far below the prices that is sold to the petrochemical sector or to LNG. So obviously that acts as a disincentive for the upstream producers of natural gas. They're having to sell their gas at a lower price. So the more we can reduce the amount of natural gas going to the electricity sector, the better for the overall economics of the gas industry. So that means, first of all, bringing in renewable energy into the mix, with solar, which we have active projects trying to bring that in at the moment, potentially in the future wind and other sources of renewable energy as well. But perhaps even more importantly is energy efficiency, so using less electricity, optimizing the way electricity is generated at the moment and the distribution of electricity as well, and diverting as much natural gas as possible away from the electricity sector to the petrochemical sector and LNG exports, which obviously earn the country forex. Our fifth major point is around small gas fields and how do you bring those into production. Usually as countries mature in their gas production, the size of fields being developed will get smaller because you develop the big fields first, and then as time goes on, the smaller fields are the ones which are still yet to be developed. So you have to find ways of economically developing those smaller fields. That means often trying to create situations in which operators will cooperate with each other, will share infrastructure to be able to have innovative approaches to bring those small fields into the development and make that gas available to the market in the country. Final major point where we think action needs to be taken is about accessing gas from outside Trinidad and Tobago, which could be imported into the country. The obvious major source of that is Venezuela, but there's also potentially, in the longer term, gas in Barbados and in Grenada as well, which could be imported to Trinidad and Tobago. The Venezuela opportunity is enormous. There are the offshore gas fields in Venezuela, which are at the moment completely undeveloped. But then there's also, I think, a very interesting opportunity with onshore gas, which is currently being flared from the Venezuelan oil fields, because there's no market for natural gas, or no significant market for natural gas in Venezuela. They're having to flare this natural gas. If that natural gas could be captured, which is technically not a difficult thing to do, and then piped to Trinidad and Tobago, it actually creates a form of natural gas for our industry, which has a great economic benefit, obviously, but also a great climate benefit as well, because you're taking natural gas which is currently being flared and instead bring it into productive use. We are obviously aware this is politically a difficult thing to do, but we still think it's something which is important for the country to pursue the right strategies that we can to try to access those gas resources.